So hi there. With us we have Marni. Marni is with Wing Girl Method. Now, Marni, for those of you that don't know, is a true insider and secret collector of men. For the past 13 years, she has worked primarily with men to help them attract, date, and be with the women that they want without turning them into jerks. Now she's taking what she learned from her intimate work with men and revealing it to women. Marni is truly telling women, such as yourself, how men work and what women can do to have happy, successful relationships with men. Don't forget to check out her site in the link below for more on Marni. How are you doing, Marni?
I'm doing good. I realized there was a little error in there. It said a collector of men, I think. That was one of the things. But I'll keep it. I'm a collector of men. I like it.
No worries, no worries. All right. So yeah, very quickly, Marni, let's get to it.
Yeah.
What are your thoughts on helping women find their ideal man? You know, what is the best approach to it? Because I find that a lot of women will go out there and they'll find a guy that they like that seems to have potential, but they go all in. They commit exclusively to this guy. And in my opinion, typically it just leads to months and possibly years of investment, ultimately to find out that he's not the right guy. Would you recommend be more selective from the get-go, probably commit exclusively, or date openly and filter?
Oh, wow. Okay. So date openly and filter for sure. But even prior to that, really just take a step back and get more clear on what it is that you want. Depending on what age you are, you know, that's going to be really easy or really challenging. And that can be easy and challenging on the later end or the earlier end, depending on what your experiences have been. So for me, I met my husband when I was 23 years old. I was really young, and I wasn't really clear on what it was or what it is that I wanted out of a relationship. And, you know, lucky for me, we dated for a long time before jumping into getting married. But also, you know, I think it was sort of smart of my husband to kind of not let us be casual in the beginning, because we were definitely committed to each other, but to still allow me to be me. And I didn't even know that that's what I wanted back then, because I was just so into him. I was head over heels, and all I wanted to do was be about him and everything about him. And he really helped me establish more of my own personality, and he helped the two of us have more separation so that we could both be clear on what it was that we wanted out of relationships. So to take a step back from that, I think that everybody, no matter what stage they're at or what age they're at, really needs to ask themselves a few questions about what it is that really makes them happy about being in a partnership and what it is that they're looking for. And these things may change over time, or they may stay very stagnant for you. But not having a clear understanding of what it is that you require or want or desire in a partnership, really, it just ends up leading you down the wrong path numerous times and wasting a lot of time and energy for yourself that you could be using either dating the right person or having fun with a lot of the wrong people and not getting so wrapped up in it.
Definitely agreed, definitely agreed. So, I mean, what would be your advice as far as, you know, I'm trying to be more selective. I can understand that I want to date openly and filter. But for the woman that's like, okay, now how do I know if he's worth investing in the long run, right? What's the quickest way for me to know that of these, we'll throw out a number, of these 5 guys that I'm seeing that, you know, they're actually worth my investment? Is it better to just have fun and let it develop naturally? Or should I state my standards pretty clearly and be like, look, right now, you know, I am someone that might be looking for marriage or commitment or what have you. What would be the best approach for that person?
Well, I don't love the word selective, because I feel like that for some people it's like an icky word, and they feel like either they're being too rigid, or sometimes, you know, they even say things like, well, I'm really picky with men, and those
Right.
things aren't very helpful as well. It's not really being very picky with men. Either you just know what you like and you're attracted to, or you're fearful of certain things that you may not have explored yet or had bad experiences with in the past. So I would say that for most people, being upfront and honest about where you are at in your life in a jovial, way that's open to somebody else. I don't even know where I'm coming out with these words, jovial, but like not to be so harsh, to really pay attention to the other person that's sitting in front of you. So exactly what you said when you were asking me the question, like you're in a conversation, and if it does come up or the conversation steers in the direction of family, you can talk about how important family is to you. And, obviously one day you are hoping to have a family of your own. And, right now, obviously you don't know if this person in front of you is going to be that person, but that is what you're looking for right now. And you are taking things more seriously. I think it's wonderful to be straightforward. And I don't think that if you're sitting in front of the right person who's also on that same path, that sentences like that would scare them away. But it would scare people away that aren't looking for what you're looking for.
That makes sense. Yeah, I think one thing I like to tell women is, have goals, but not necessarily expectations, right? Make your standards known, communicate effectively. But if you're expecting every guy to meet that, I mean, you're going to be up for disappointment. So I definitely agree with that.
Yeah, you're screwed.
Absolutely.
The whole thing is that when you do get into a relationship, it is all about compromising, really taking your time to understand the other person that you're working with. So I'll give you a little bit of a tidbit of information about my relationship. I'm an extrovert. My husband is an introvert. I'm a woman. He's a man. So our brains overall work very differently. The way that we absorb information, the way that we take time to recharge, the way that we communicate is different as well. And because of all of these differences, it was extremely frustrating in the very beginning because there was very little communication about these differences, and we didn't even really know that these differences were differences for us. We just thought that it was the other person trying not to understand us or fight against us, which happens in a lot of relationships. And as I got more into, what I'm doing and doing more work with the men that I'm working with, I started learning about all these differences and really, really took to heart the fact that I have to not only understand myself, but understand my partner if I want to have a successful relationship. It can't just be all about me and protecting myself and my needs and my wants. I have to figure out by asking questions or doing research or, there's many other methods to find this information out, but I have to figure out who it is that I'm working with. So now I understand that my husband is an introvert, right?
Right.
And for me, I used to think it just means that he's closed off, doesn't want to communicate. When I'm talking to him and he sits in silence, I literally thought that he was doing the same thing as me, where he's thinking a million things in his head and holding back on them. But that's not the case because of the way that he processes information and the way that he recharges and sees the world. He was actually doing something different. And being armed with that information about my husband has not only helped me calm down, but also helped me have a better understanding of who he is and have him feel more loved for, which makes a stronger foundation for the two of us.
That makes sense. So yeah, if you like, the the advice Marni's offering, I definitely think it's extremely valuable. Don't forget to visit wingirlmethod.com/men-work for more advice and tips from Marni. She's there for you. She's there to help you. Clearly, she's been doing this a long time. She definitely knows what she's talking about. Now, Marni, I really wanted to ask you a question because I think you have a very unique perspective given your background, starting coaching men initially. And that was, having coached so many men, what are some of the biggest misconceptions that society teaches women about men, if there are any? What are the things that women are socially conditioned to believe that aren't necessarily true about men that hold them back from relationships?
That men are not insecure, that men are going to think the same way that you do, that men don't have huge fears of rejection. I don't know if society is teaching these things. I think there's sort of ingrained beliefs like that women think, oh yeah, it's a man's responsibility to approach, not realizing how challenging it actually is for so many men. So a lot of the men that I work with are in the beginning stages where they're still dating, they're still interacting, they're still reaching out over online. And the men that I work with are phenomenal, amazing men. Like these are the men that women should be dating after they work with me, obviously. But these are the men that they should be dating because there's a few little tweaks that they need to boost their confidence so they can be like the sexy leaders that women are looking for.
Absolutely.
But these men are missing out on countless opportunities all the time because They are looking for 100% guaranteed signs that a woman wants to be approached or asked out or kissed, and they're not taking those chances because they've had such negative experiences in the past. And what ends up happening is instead these douchebags and players, these people who don't care about what a woman is putting out to them and not paying attention to the signs that women are subtly expressing to them, these are the men that are just going after what they want. So what I teach the men to do is to actually take a little bit from the douchebags and still have their amazing integrity and character, and approach without needing that 100% certainty. But as women, what we can do is we can make it a little bit easier for these guys and help a brother out by smiling or starting a conversation or touching to let a guy know, like being a little bit more overt with the signals that we give and not waiting for a man to, and I'm going to say it as well, live up to his responsibility of what we believe he should be doing, because it is challenging for a lot of awesome, awesome men.
Yeah, absolutely. Definitely agree. Fear of rejection's real. Even the most confident of men have it. Trust me, they're just really good at hiding it.
Yeah.
Or at least they ignore it anyway. But no,
right, exactly.
Yeah, it's definitely a thing. So you kind of touched up on it a little bit, actually. I kind of wanted you to go a little bit more in depth if possible. What can women do to influence interactions before they even begin, to let the guy know, the guy that they're interested know that they're available, that they are interested, that the guy does have permission to approach without necessarily being needy or try hard. One thing I've found is that a lot of women like to be romanced. They don't like to be the romancers. And I think there's misconceptions with, if I'm approaching, I must be the romancer, when really... Does that make sense?
Right. You can still be super feminine and be the first one to make your move or let it be known that you're open to being approached. So I'll tell a story. So I was speaking at this conference for women. This is when I first started coaching. Actually, no, I hadn't started coaching women. And I went to go speak at this conference. It was being run by a friend of mine who works with a lot of women. And she said, I bet you have lots of valuable information you don't even know about. And I was like, I'm telling you, these women are not going to want to hear what I have to say. And she's like, yes, they will. So I ended up going and speaking. I was supposed to speak for 10 minutes. I ended up speaking for like 45. And because all these women had questions and I had the answers based on what I'd learned from all these men that I worked with. And this one woman was sitting in the audience, their arms crossed, a scowl on her face, and I was like, this woman hates me. She hates everything about me. That's what I was getting from her body language of what she was projecting to me. Mm-hmm. So we took a break, and this woman came running up to me and said, still with this sourpuss face and her arms crossed, said, I loved everything that you had to say. I'm so glad that you went up and spoke to us because it really helped me. And I said, can we just do something? Will you be open with me for a second? And she said yes, and I uncrossed her arms. And I asked her to smile, and I asked her to open her eyes a bit and lift her head. And I said, now I can talk to you, because now you look like you want information from me, and you're open to receiving what I have to say. What you were doing before, it put it, I can't even describe in words, but it put me off and made me dislike you and wonder what I'd done wrong. And if that's what you're doing out in the real world, even like 10% of that, then that's why men aren't approaching you. You're a beautiful woman, but who's going to see that past the scowl? Mm-hmm. And so she actually wrote to me a couple of weeks later and said, like, now when I'm out, men actually approach me. That had never happened to her before. So just doing little things like that open yourself up, or even taking it one step further, when you're out somewhere and you turn to a guy and you say, hey, what are you guys doing here for the night? Like, that's not aggressive. That's not being the masculine one in the situation or taking on the role of man. Mm-hmm. It's literally just opening the door for possible connection.
Yeah, it can be something as simple as that. I mean, any excuse to interact is usually an invite to continue or to build an interaction to get to know someone. So yeah, definitely good. I mean, body language is real. I know exactly what you mean.
Yeah, exactly. Or you can go up to a guy, grab him by the balls, and take him to the bathroom. Whatever it is that you want to do, you can be as aggressive as you want to be. But I'm just saying, like, you have to take the chance to do it. I wouldn't say that you want to be the pouncer and the aggressor, but if that is your personality and it's working for you, then please continue to do that. But you can still go after what you want in a very feminine and sexy way that is appealing to all men.
Yeah, I can say for certain there are definitely men that like the aggressive approach, by the way. It's not off-putting to all men, trust me. But yeah, that was perfect, Marni. Thank you so much. I love the content. I love
Okay.
the advice. It was extremely valuable. It had depth to it, which I think is very much appreciated. And again, if you like Marni, please feel free to visit wingirlmethod.com/men work. The link is below this, so you will find it there. And I hope this was valuable to you. All right. Till next time. Bye, Marni.
Oh, bye. Thank you.